Hi guys, so something a little bit different from me today, and that's painting a miniature while it's still on a sprue. So I've seen a few people do this, and yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool, especially when you put it in a display case. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I got this single figure miniature, and I got this one from Chaos Cards. There's a link in the description, guys, to where you can obviously purchase most of the stuff that I get. And yeah, it's got a discount code down there, and you get 5% off. So these single figures are pretty cool. There's 6 to sort of collect, but they're like blind boxes, so you don't quite know which one you're going to get until, well, you open it. But yeah, love how they look. Obviously, there's an instruction guide on putting them together, and these ones just sort of like clip in, so you don't actually need glue on these. But obviously, I normally use glue even on the ones that are just clip in. So yeah, I'm going to kind of keep to the sort of kind of look of how he looks here. So obviously being red. But one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to prime the whole thing black. So yeah, as you can see, I have 3D printed a little box out already with a little slot there, as I want to put a little LEDs in this. But we'll get to that later on. So we've got our sprue. Now we just need a few little tools, and obviously one of the main ones is some good old clippers. I use some real cheap ones that I normally get with the 3D printers. I've got my scalpel here, which, well, the blade in that I've had for about 2 months, and good old Tamiya extra thin glue. Although, yeah, we won't need that either. So yeah, there's me saying we need tools. Obviously we're not going to need any tools because we're not cutting this thing off. We haven't got to shave anything down. And yeah, there we go. Primed in black, job done, ready to go. So if you watched a few of my painting videos, you'll see my sort of go-to technique is basically priming in black, dry brush grey, dry brush white, and then yeah, get some good old contrast speed paints on, and job done. It really is a nice simple painting technique with yeah, some pretty decent results. So the sprue is kind of getting dry brushed as well. Yeah, I'm going to obviously paint the whole thing black afterwards, as in the sprue. So we don't need to be too careful here. It is just a case of getting everything, everything dry brushed and ready to take on the speed paints. Although I do end up using quite a variety of paints on top of the speed paints. But again, we'll see those in a minute. As with a lot of the miniatures I'm painting now, guys, I'm actually putting them on eBay to sell. Obviously with the exception of any teams that I will be using, obviously for the Warhammer 40k kill teams, as I do obviously, well, that's the only game I really play. As I am putting this in a display case, I just need to raise the level of the sprue up just a little bit, as obviously, well, it's a bit bumpy underneath, something behind it, so it'd be nice to have this raised, well, just a little bit away. So yeah, I'm using some good old earbuds, as well, these are pretty decent little things. Obviously it's easy to cut the wood, so yeah, going to cut a few little bits off and use them as little sort of supports. Don't forget to leave comments down below, guys. Let me know if there's anything you want to see me sort of try out on this channel. As yeah, I do love trying out new things, especially obviously different kind of painting techniques. You'll see in my recent video I used some dirty down rust, and oh yeah, absolutely love that stuff. And I have recently got hold of an airbrush. I'm yet to use it. It's still in the box, as I was waiting on some paints. They've turned up now. So yeah, get ready to see me airbrushing for the first time. So that should be interesting, as well. Yeah, I've never done that before. And there we go, supports are on, so it's ready to sort of crack on and do some painting. So I'm using a good old speed paint from Army Painter. That is kind of like one of my preferred sort of paints to use. Mainly because obviously they've been kindly enough to send me the full sort of range, which was pretty decent. So yeah, just going over the whole thing. Initially I was leaving those edges on the pauldrons because I wasn't too sure what colour they should be. I always try and look up, whatever I'm painting, I have a little look up on YouTube or just Google, just to sort of get some sort of ideas of what sort of colour, technique and how I want to paint them. And well, this chap pretty much is all red. So yeah, I did look up, and yeah, I'm going to stick with all red. Sometimes keeping things simple, yeah, is kind of the way to go. So paint on the sprue did kind of make it relatively easy, because obviously you've kind of got the sprue to sort of hold. That and the fact that obviously you're only really painting one side of this miniature, because obviously it's not worth painting the reverse side, because well, no one's ever going to see it, especially when I do actually glue it into the display case. So yeah, you're never going to take this out. Well, you might do, I don't know, you might want to take it out and well, put the guy together, although you would need to do a few sort of finishing touches up. As I say, obviously there are some bits that possibly aren't painted. Definitely like the backs of the heads. They weren't painted, well, at all really. As always, I will be leaving links down in the description, guys, to all the sort of bits that I use. So don't forget to check out Chaos Cards. as I do have a discount code to get 5% off when you spend £30 or more on any of their miniatures that they do. And there'll also be a link down below to to my eBay account, where I am now starting to sell sort of the miniatures that I paint. Two reasons really. One, like I always say in a lot of my videos, I don't have a lot of room. I'm in like a small 2-bedroom flat. I don't have a nice big sort of studio or hobby area or even a shed. So I am sort of quite limited on how much stuff I can actually keep. So yeah, it seems a good way of obviously freeing up the room and, well, giving me more funds to go and buy more stuff, which is pretty cool. So after painting him with the Army Painter speed paint and obviously letting him dry, he kind of looked a bit too dark. As much as I do love sort of the grim dark look, everything looked a bit too sort of dark and samey. So just going over now with some red. I'm not even sure what red I've got. I think it's just a cheap sort of red paint from somewhere. Just going over and doing sort of like raised areas, flat areas, just to try and give the red a little bit more sort of like contrast, possibly sort of highlights. Just make it basically look a little bit better than it does. Because even though the speed paints are awesome, for some reason on this it's almost come out looking a little bit flat. I'm just going to put a base colour down on the guy's face, as I do have a nice speed paint, peachy flesh, but sometimes it can come out quite dark. So I think it's quite nice to get like a bit of a lighter skin colour or skin tone underneath, and then I'll put the speed paint over the top. Generally though, when I am painting, I do prefer using Space Marines with helmets, and the main reason for that is I can't do eyes. As much as I try, eyes never work. So I rather do Space Marines with their heads or helmets off, and I do them so they're asleep. So I don't paint the eyes at all. Or where preferable, I prefer Space Marines with helmets. I mean, that's why I like Orcs so much. Obviously, Orcs are nice and easy because you just do a little red sort of drop for their eyes. You haven't got to worry about any sort of pupils or any of that kind of thing. So yeah, a little bit of colour here, a little bit of change. Obviously, this Space Marine is mostly red, but we'll do his little gun pouch here in a nice sort of leathery brown colour. And then other than red, the other sort of main colour I'm going to use here is some good old black. Again, this is a speed paint black, which is pretty cool. Goes on really nice, and yeah, it does obviously have sort of darker areas in the recesses and lighter areas where it's the raised areas, which is pretty cool. So I say in general, the speed paints, I would say a good 80% of them work really, really well. The other 20%, they work-ish, but yeah, I do have my favourite colours when it comes to using the speed paints. Or that's the same though to be said with the contrast paints that I have from Citadel, as well as the big paints that I have from Green Stuff World. They all seem to have obviously paints that or colours that definitely work better than the others. And then to finish off, just using a wash. So I've got the Agrax Earthshade, there's certain areas that obviously I didn't use speed paints. So yeah, just going to apply a nice amount of this as well. I do love using washes. I say my preferred style of painting is things that look very grim dark, very used, worn, weathered, and any vehicles and bits and pieces, I do like adding rust. I do love the rust effect. As much as I say, I do like seeing other people paint, and when they paint really nice sort of vibrant colours, it all looks great. But for me, I do prefer things to look a bit battered, which is why I'm now going over the whole model I have just painted. Even though it was painted with speed paints, obviously I did go over with a nice solid red after that, and then I kind of felt that I'd almost gone too much with that. So this is where sometimes painting can get a little out of hand sometimes, as in knowing when to stop, or looking at something thinking, I'll just do this, or I'll just do that. So yeah, you could go round and round in circles. But yeah, no, I do love a good old wash, and yeah, I'm pleased with how it came out, and that's the main thing. As long as whatever you're doing, you're happy with. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't sort of think you have to do things how other people do it. This is a hobby. I do this for fun. I really enjoy what I'm doing, which is probably why I'm making more videos now than I've ever done before. And that's because, well, I'm painting more miniatures now than I've ever done before. If we go back to when I first started the channel a few years ago, I probably painted one miniature every couple of months, just because I absolutely hated painting miniatures. And I probably did more sort of buildings, spaceships, junk crafts, all that kind of stuff. Whereas now I absolutely love painting miniatures. I love miniatures sitting on my desk. And obviously I love the miniatures that I use when I'm playing Kill Team. So yeah, I am painting a lot of miniatures now, which is why, yeah, there's more videos, and which is why I want to try out more things, guys. I say I am super excited to try out the airbrush. So that video should be out hopefully within the next sort of week or two, as I have got a model ready to, well, to have a go at airbrushing. But yeah, again, guys, that's why I'm saying, leave comments down below if there's anything you want to see me try out. If there's anything you've always wanted to try out but never have. Yeah, by all means let me know. I'll give it a go, and you can sort of see, well, see how I get on. So as you can see, I'm all finished with the painting on this guy. It is just a case of going around now, tidying up the sprue, and yeah, painting it back to black, just so obviously it doesn't sort of stand out, and it is the miniature that gets the focus on your eyes when you look at this thing. And there we go. So I'm pleased with how he's come out. It is now a case of, well, get him in the display box. So this was 3D printed, obviously painted black, and now it is a case of I want to get some lights in here. I do like using lights, so I just use the cheap sort of LED ones. You get about a pack of about 12 of these for about 15 quid. So yeah, nice and cheap, nice and simple. I'm going to glue it in the back here, but I'm going to glue it in a way that, obviously, if I needed to, I can take the batteries out and replace them. Not that this thing's going to be on for very long. Although I might start getting some of the LED sort of strip lighting rather than the fairy lighting, just because, well, they're definitely brighter and probably easier to sort of put in. So yeah, so these I actually glue in with just super glue, but it can be quite tricky sometimes, and I do get, well, generally get a lot of glue on my fingers, which is obviously no fun. So I really wasn't sure what to use as a background for this guy, but so I've got quite a few sets that I need to build up, and this is one of them. So I'm looking forward to building this and then, well, making this into a rust bucket. But yeah, I quite like the front cover here, and obviously the sort of terrain there that looks damaged. I think that looks quite good. So I'm going to sort of put that in the back, and I think the ruined buildings will look quite good with my very weathered and haggard looking Space Marine. So yeah, good old measuring. Yeah, don't really do that on this channel. I just sort of eyeball stuff quite a bit. Obviously, I offered up the box here, so I knew roughly how far to cut out. Cut it a little bit bigger than it needed to be, just so I could sort of keep cutting it, to getting it to, obviously, hopefully, eventually fit, which, yeah, it does. And there we go, my first miniature, painted on sprue, and put in, well, a little display case, which is pretty cool. Don't forget to check out my eBay account, guys, as, yeah, obviously all the stuff I am making now is going on there. And anything you buy obviously does help me out, as it means I can fund, well, getting more stuff. And if you like my videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, as yeah, I am producing sort of several videos each week, as I'm just loving painting stuff and making bits and pieces. And leave plenty of comments down below. Yeah, let me know what you guys want to sort of see me do next. Again, if there's anything sort of painting wise you've always fancied trying, yeah, I am up for giving anything a go. Whether or not I'll be good at it, well, time will only tell on that one. And if you can, share the video and hit that thumbs up. These all help me out so much as well. There is a video on the screen, guys. Give that a click, see more of what I do. And a big thank you to all my patrons and Chaos Cars for supporting the channel. Okay, bye now.